So it's like these rites of passage to mark stages of life. And, just like a microcosm of the macro, it can be stages of life, or it could be just parts of our day. But like the way in my practice, I do a lot with the womb work, women going through like big life changes of relationships ending, or their children leaving the nest, or menopause, or becoming a mom. Or actually a big one is
That's the rites of passage.
miscarriage, or abortion. And I say, you know what? It's a way that we deal with grief. It's a way that we move through these big emotions that come with these changes in our life. We need something physical to mark and like represent around us in our field the shift that we've gone through.
Welcome to the Wholesome Healing Collective.
Join us on our podcast for a journey into the hearts of healers from all walks of life, diving deep as we explore meaningful conversations that have the power to inspire, empower, and share life-changing wisdom.
Through this community, we hope to create a welcoming environment where our listeners leave feeling nurtured and uplifted. We are so delighted you are here. My name is Alyssa.
And I'm Renee. Grab a drink, get cozy, and let's dive in. So today on the Wholesome Healing Collective podcast, we have two amazing guests to chat with today, Nathan and Shannon Tinder. They offer a variety of services through their healing and retreat and regenerative farm in Southern Oregon, Sacred Living Center. Nathan is a teacher, healer, rewilding expert, fire master, and sacred plant guide extraordinaire. He has developed a deep and rich relationship, in particular with Wachuma, the San Pedro cactus, which he cultivates from seed at the Galactic Cactus Farm. Shannon is an intuitive guide, healer, teacher, herbalist, and womb whisperer. They bring together over 25 years of experience with sacred plant medicine, meditations, and ceremonies. Together, this duo's approach to fully present living weaves the world of future ancient technologies to bring one out of linear living and into circular loving. Ooh, just in that intro, I have little curiosity pings that I just want to dive into. But before we do, our signature question for both of you can answer separate or together if you do something together. But we would love to know what your favorite self-care practice is.
Go ahead.
Well, I'd have to say my bathtub. I have an epic bathtub that overlooks Mount Ashland and rose bushes outside. Yesterday, I got in there in the middle of the day between clients and warmed my womb, and it was so good. I was like, this is it. Yeah.
That sounds so nice.
Yeah.
How about you, Nathan?
Favorite self-practice. There's so many things that are my favorite, but I think, I am a doer, so I often am on my way somewhere, and I love to make my way to somewhere rich and present. And so when I'm on my walk to do a chore, I tune into all of my senses, take a big breath, and fully saturate myself in the moment. I think that's probably my favorite self-care practice on the way to and fro.
That's beautiful. I think those are both new ones for us. None of us said either one of those.
Really? Bath?
Maybe bath. Maybe we've had bath before. I don't know. That's amazing. No, I love that reminder of how sweet the in-between moments can be when you bring all of your senses and awareness into that to and fro.
And oftentimes we're so busy going somewhere that we don't pay attention to the moment at hand. And I feel that there's so much richness in those moments, and so much to see and to be reminded of.
Yeah, absolutely. Hmm. Well, if you have a spot to dive in, Alyssa, feel free. Otherwise, I would love to just start jumping in with my curiosity pinks. Okay, I love the last line of your intro about bringing future ancient technologies.
Mm.
And I had never heard this reference until sitting in ceremony, and I've had it floating around in my mind ever since. And just how, and I even chatted with Alyssa about how much sense that makes, how these technologies have been around for so long and then get carried down through carriers like yourself who keep this ancient knowledge moving forward. And I don't feel like I'm doing it any justice by talking about it. So I would love to hear you guys speak to that.
Yeah, I think for me, I've had a lot of really great teachers. And one of the things I've heard a lot is as above, so below, or
Mm.
as below, so above. And so I find that yeah, the beauty of what is already here and already available to us is so rich. And if we can learn how to study maybe an ancient technologies, such as I work with the fire, making fire in old ways. These ways are a part of our intrinsic, the way we grew, the way that we developed our psyche and beingness. And when we remember these technologies, they have little clues and little tidbits and rich information in them that can help us with our modern life, with just being human. And just sitting at the fire with friends brings a richness in our life that is unlike anything else. And in fact, when we sit at a fire, it actually brings us into a meditative state where we're in a more of an alpha wavelength, where we're more open and able to communicate. And that is a technology in itself, us learning to communicate together and really see each other and hear each other in a really good way. And then, it goes on and on when we create a fire with using an ancient technology such as a hand drill or a bow drill. There's so much symbolism and metaphor in that process. And so we can study the fire, for instance, and Shannon will go into water and her different studies as a way of learning technology. But the fire has the symbol of the masculine fire stick. And then we have a hearth board, which symbolizes the feminine, the earth. And bringing these two, the masculine energy, which is star energy, to the earth, and spinning them together with friction to create a spark of life is very symbolic of the way we create and gather energy to make anything. And so studying these older ways, we can gather richness into and a different perspective. Maybe we're used to a very linear way of learning something, but this helps us get out of our normal linear mindset and think of things in more of a round metaphorical way. And I think that everyone probably resonates with a different element, a different plant, a different animal, and we can all go into the water to learn these metaphors, or we can learn from the air, or we can learn from the earth as well, and study these ancient technologies as a way to learn like, as if they were gurus, as if they were teachers themselves. And we have access to all of these teachers at all times if we are aware and pay attention. Thinking more in round, circular. And then also I really believe that time is more circular than we realize.
Yeah, can I share on that?
Yeah.
The way that I'm thinking about this is in cycles, especially as a woman, and in my cycles. And so everything to me is very cyclical. And that's the ancient technology of track, just the earth, that what we have here as cycles on earth. And so being able to, we don't really identify with like one religion or any way, but I definitely feel like these pagan roots and just this way that our ancestors in lots of different places tracked the seasons and tracked them, how we move and go through the elements really. And so that's how I like to tune into it. And then there's like the microcosm and the macrocosm and the cycles every day and seasonally and in my life. And I, bring that in with astrology. So yeah, that's how we really like to relate to it with the elements and cycles.
I love all of that. I've definitely only in the last, I want to say maybe year or two, started exploring more cyclical that word, that type of approach to living. And it has been a game changer for me. And just feeling like coming home to like, oh, yeah, this makes way more sense for the way my body wants to live and interact with the world. And it makes so much sense that we shouldn't be in springtime go, go, go all year long, which is what I tried to force myself to do for a long time.
Exactly.
And I love that invitation and reminder that the elements can be our teachers. Just that what you were saying about bringing the feminine and the masculine together, it's like that act of even making fire can be a meditation in and of itself, with that awareness and intention coming into it. So I think I'm never going to look at making fire the same again.
And what does I really like to empty my slate, so to speak, and ask to learn something new every time. And I really feel like that intention of the beginner's mindset. I've been creating fire for 27 years, and every time I do it, I ask it to teach me something new. And that there's just so much richness if we can empty our slate and look at the world anew every morning and say, what do you have to teach me today, world? What's something new that I get to learn? What's something that I haven't thought of, or a new way of thinking for this day or this way?
Yeah, that's a wonderful mindset to have.
Yeah, that openness and just like being ready to receive that message. I love that.
And we might receive something we never imagined if we ask the question. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. I love that there's medicine in all things. So not even just the plants, but the elements too. That's so beautiful.
I'm curious, what's like the origin story to the pursuit of these learnings? I imagine that goes back quite a few years with all the experience that you have together. So I'm just curious, like, where did that start? Was it a rite of passage ceremony or a particular teacher? Or I would love to hear a little more about that.
Yeah, for me, in my mid-20s, I started learning from Martin Prechtel, just in his books. I never gotten to meet him personally. And He is in the United States now, but he was in Guatemala for a long time, and shaman there, just a white man that got guided there and was actually like, they're like, we've been waiting for you. And so he was there for a long time, I think through the 70s and 80s, maybe. And he really taught me about ritual. I just finished massage school and herbalism school, and definitely was like learning all these ways. I had read Myths of Avalon, and it was just kind of deep in my who I was already. And so when he brought these ways of creating ritual as a passage, as like setting up ceremony, setting up intention, feeding the ancestors with little spirit plates, they just were new languages to me, that really like brought this multi-dimensional fabric to my life, and an understanding of the importance of these rituals that our ancestors held to mark like threshold crossings, and to really like have something symbolic as entering a new way, a new state of mind, a transformation or creation, or a special time in our life or an age. So yeah, that was my introduction. And then shortly after, I met Nathan, and we're at 28, and we learned all sorts of ways together. And we were taken into these elders in our community in Southern Humboldt, and they taught us ceremony that they'd all been doing for decades around the solstice and Beltane, kind of pagan-based ones. And that really like grew our life in ritual together. And that was the solstice one is definitely has deep roots in how we now hold ceremony with San Pedro. So yeah, that's my story. Nathan's got a beautiful story of his mentor.
Oh yeah, well, so for me, talking about rites of passage, I grew up in Utah, Salt Lake City, and in a Mormon family. And all I knew growing up was Mormons and a Catholic family that lived down the street. And so, yeah, I realized very young that I had a very limited world perspective. Once I found out there was other religions, my mind was blown, and I was like, whoa. And so, yeah, I had this theory at the time that like, the best church or the best temple was the wilderness. And I went out with my friends, I think when I was 17, 18. Once I got a car and started driving, we were in the wilderness all the time. And we did a rites of passage. We didn't really know we were doing a rites of passage, but we all went out into the woods and ate mushrooms together, and just like awakened to the world. And I received a vision that everything in my world was based on false perceptions, or kind of a make-believe way of looking at the world. And I realized that I had no idea what truth was. And so the vision I received was that I needed to erase all of my programming and relearn it from the wilderness, from the purest metaphor that I could find in my reality, which was for me the wilderness. And I received a vision that I needed to live a year alone in the woods and reset my reality. And that vision has led me, like, has been the most solid vision of my life, and has led me down, Alice in Wonderland road of magnificent wonder. And yeah, it led me to Shannon, led me to what we're doing now. And so, yeah, that ingrained in me like this idea that we can learn from the earth, and we can find the best teachers in the earth. And I started studying, like, I felt very like, how am I going to live in the woods for a year? How is that even possible? And I thought I'd need to learn how to pack animals and bring tents and all the things out in the wilderness that I needed to survive so I could reset. And I was studying at Barnes and Noble, and I found a book by Tom Brown Jr. nature awareness and tracking. And I read the introduction, and it was all about the spirit that moves through all things and living with nature rather than against it. And he taught, awareness and like how to interact with the world through presence.
Mm.
And I was hooked. Like I just started consuming his books, and I went out to his school in New Jersey and studied with him, all with this goal to spend a year in the wilderness. And I learned the tools, how to learn, um, which is mostly about being present and learning how to ask what he called sacred questions,
Mm.
learning how to ask the right questions and not expecting the right answers. And that led me down. He taught me how to make fire, how to do ceremonies, fire ceremonies and pipe ceremonies through the Apache tradition. And I spent probably a year in total with him while I was going to college. I finished my college degree at Tracker School, it's called. And yeah, he gave me the tools to attack the world, how to attack it with questions and presence. And I spent as much time in the wilderness as I could with this idea of spending a year in the wilderness. And I got spanked and humbled and learned many things, and realized I don't want to live alone, and I want to
Mm.
bring my community with me into this awareness. I want to bring my family with me, and we were meant to live together. And so my passion is to bring people into this awareness, teach them how to teach themselves, how to ask questions, how to be present, aware. And let's do this together. Let's learn how, like, instead of being aliens on this earth, let's learn how to live with it and enjoy it. And I don't have to be alone in the wilderness to learn this anymore. Yeah, it's super beautiful.
Super beautiful. Wow. What an amazing call to receive at such an early age. And how cool that you really took that to heart and wasn't like, oh, that was a weird trip on to my, on to high school or whatever, but actually it changed the trajectory of your life. That's so amazing. Wow.
Must be the double Sag in me. I always do what I set my heart to. So.
Ever the explorer.
So what has been your favorite way to bring community into this awareness?
Yeah, I think, there's so many ways that I do it, and we both do it together. But I'm a fire tender at heart. I'm a fire sign. And I love creating ceremony gatherings, sacred fires every Monday I have a medicine garden called Galactic Cactus Hummingbird Hearth. And so every Monday I do a sacred fire and I just invite community to come, and I create a safe space for us to explore all these ideas, to integrate our own journeys, our own medicine stories. We always start the fire with a hand drill, and I tell creation story through the fire. So it's like a creation story that we get to do. And every time we start that fire, we tell the story in a new way, and we glean something new from it. And then the garden is built in a way where our fire pit is in around flower beds surrounded by guru plants, tobacco, tulsi, catnip, lemon balm, and San Pedro's all around. And I think bringing people into the here and now in the fire is like the easiest way to bring people in this awareness. And fire is one of those universal things that we all get in the deepest level of ourselves. And so yeah, the fire is definitely my favorite way to bring people together, for sure. What, you're sitting on a yoni box?
I have many ways. I do mostly love to gather with women, but I do love to gather in the community. He said yoni boxes because he built me 8 yoni steam boxes. And so one of the group things I do is bring women together to learn about steaming, this ancient practice for our pelvis, for our whole bodies. It's, my friend put it as, it's like a cup of tea for your yoni. And I was like, oh, okay.
Describe what is a yoni box.
Well, so a yoni box, it's a wooden box, and then
What's a yoni? Not everybody knows what a yoni is. My
We can
kid's
turn
biggest
the
fear is
loop.
I might say yoni-verse in front of their friends. So whatever.
okay, well,
Oh my
yoni,
gosh, I'm gonna remember that term now.
it's a common word in our household. A yoni is Sanskrit word for pussy, vagina, but vagina is obviously just one little part. It's the canal. So it's the word that I really resonate with, crawling the whole beautiful flower, sacred thing we have as womb carriers. And so a lot of my work, we have another way we do community is through our healing center, Sacred Living Center. We bring people in for one-on-one or sometimes group sessions. And part of the session work I do is womb wellness care sessions. And this is like a shamanic deep dive into healing on all levels, from ancestors, past life, mother, father lines, to like energetically, vibrationally, into then how does that show up in the body somatically, with abdominal massage, fascial release, organ alignment, and also internal fascial release, a lot of breath work, visualization.
Don't forget yon and tone.
to he's my biggest advocate, to bring balance, because so many women are disconnected, and just really it's like an area that, you know, when we go into flight or flight, survival mode, the reproduction is what first shuts down. And so just really helping everyone get connected there, get things juicy, flowing, everything from energetic to physical issues. And then steaming is an ancient practice that indigenous cultures have used all over the world, which basically the idea is to bring warmth to the pelvic bowl, and warmth, it creates circulation. And the idea, like in constitutional medicine, like Chinese medicine is based on this, and other places, is cold creates disease, cold creates clench, right, and breakdown. And so postpartum, or even like just coming of age, steaming became a tradition. Like whether you're going to the Temescal, these sweat places, and clean and do ritual bathing there, or you know, finding a way to like sit over a little hot rock sack from a fire, and then pouring like a bowl of water onto that. You put then herbs in, and between from the hot water and the herbs, they go up through the tissues of the vulva, and we're very receptive there. Obviously, it's like a portal, and the tissues are thin, and so it just kind of comes up through the whole bloodstream and affects all of our systems, really, our endocrine, our nervous system, our reproductive, our I meant to say digestive, and it's very relaxing and tonifying. And so in my ritual of gathering women to do this, we get to learn about the process, and then do a little meditation to learn about the voice of the womb, the voice of the root versus the voice of our mind, and then how to listen to the voice of our womb to make our choices. And then they all choose their herb blend and make it. And then I guide a steam where we are sitting on these lovely boxes Nathan made, and it's about 30 minutes. We're letting this come up through, and I do a womb clearing meditation, and it's so yummy, really, really yummy.
That sounds amazing. You're gonna have to add me to the list next time you do that.
Absolutely.
I've heard about the tradition, but I've never heard anyone explain it. And that makes so much sense that we would be so receptive and that we would absorb that into more of our system than just that little pelvic bowl at the bottom of our body, you know? So it's almost like a remembering as I'm hearing you saying that, even though I've never heard it before, it feels like my soul is like, yeah, 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 she knows.
Yeah, you've done it.
Now she wants me to do a men's steam circle, so I'm warming up to the idea.
Yeah, well, I've been seeing a few men lately. I mostly see women, but more for energy work. I'm seeing the men, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they would benefit so much from, this, just the prostate needs attention, like this whole root. So many men have root lock from the pressure of like that society puts on them to do and do. And I actually recommended to two of them to go home and steam. Like, here's how you do it at home, and go do it. And so the men's circle's coming.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so cool.
You've mentioned rites of passage a couple times, and I'd love to explore that a little bit more. What does that mean for you, and like what are different ways that people can explore rites of passage?
Yeah, so ancient cultures, like rites of passage, we in our relationship first, on this land that we lived, 45 acres, and we had a partner. Our oldest boys were the same age, and we had a lot of family tribe that had kids similar age, and we started a youth rewilding program every summer. It was a week-long camp, and as the kids got to like that age of 12, 13, the crew of them, then we would take the men would take them out, because it was mostly all boys. They would take them out and do like an overnight during part of the camp or toward the end of the camp. And so it's like these rites of passage to mark stages of life. And, just like a microcosm of the macro, it can be stages of life, or it could be just parts of our day. But like the way in my practice, I do a lot with the womb work, women going through like big life changes of relationships ending, or their children leaving the nest, or menopause, or becoming a mom. Or actually a big one is
That's the rites of passage.
miscarriage, or abortion. And I say, you know what? It's a way that we deal with grief. It's a way that we move through these big emotions that come with these changes in our life. We need something physical to mark and like represent around us in our field the shift that we've gone through. And so, whether I have somebody just like go put stuff on their altar, light a candle to create this symbolic energy, or sometimes I'll have them bury something or release it to the fire or release it to the water. It's all about the elements supporting these rites of passage so that we can have support in moving big emotion and be like, oh, okay, I crossed that threshold and I've done it. And then the biggest, thing that we do is together the San Pedro ceremonial work. And we do 1-day journeys with people, and we do retreats. We have one coming up in Baja in February for 7 days. It's a deep dive, and it's the ultimate vision quest. Vision questing is Nathan's specialty, and then the way that we both approach the body in such a somatic way, it's like we're inviting people to bring their quest, bring what they're manifesting or calling in their life. And then we create this container with all of the elements, and then all of the pieces from the soul, the mind, and the emotions in the body to represent and help shift on all of those dimensions. So, it's just kind of what we weave into every part of our life, I'd say. And bringing it in with the medicine circles is it's a big part of our lives. Do you want to say anything on that?
Yeah, I have lots to say. Well, there's something theoretically, like moving through life's passages without doing a ceremony, I feel is confusing for our bodies and our psyche. And there's something um, special about doing the ceremony, especially with others. It amplifies this work together. And it's so funny because my 17-year-old said, "Dad, no more rites of passages," because I've brought him through many, many rites of passages, and he's also helped other kids in rites of passage work. But he's like, "I'm done. I'm a man now. I'm done." But the truth is, it's a never-ending process. And one of the things I realized is, man in my community, in my life, are all craving this rites of passage, and most of us did not get it. And so what I did was I was like, it's never too late to receive this rites of passage, even though I am in my 40s. I did a 4-day rites of passage San Pedro ceremony with a group of men about 4 years ago. And the idea was that we could initiate each other into manhood and really explore what it means to be masculine. With my ulterior intention was to create a space. Space is the most important part of healing work. If space is appropriate, then healing happens. And so my goal was to create a space where we as men could cry together and be emotional together and be vulnerable, which is so tricky to be able to do for men in this day and age. But if the container is designed appropriately, following the elements, the third day was our water day. And we broke down as men together and started weeping. And to be able to weep in the safety of each other's company, I think about, women hope they get together and they can cry about their things, but men don't have this opportunity. The way that we've set up our gatherings and when we get together, where we like to joke around and play around and pretty much just avoid all of those types of energies. And so to create a space where we can emote and feel who we are and then be supported in our process of being men and what it does mean to be a man this day and age, the constant doing, um, it's a lot, to be a person in this world right now. It's a never-ending story. And so to be able to take the space for these rites of passages and to be aware of what rites of passages we need as an art form. And it's really a beautiful art form. And then when Shannon was talking about Vision Quest, my own personal experiences, I like to put myself on my own rites of passages. And I was taught to ask for vision. Vision is a way that I can motivate my life. If I go sit in the woods for 4 days and pray and ask, what is my vision? What is my purpose? What is my next step in life? This is my own personal rites of passage to give me, when we put a lot of energy into that question, we put the quest in the question and the search and the research of that question and put a lot of energy behind it, and then use rites of passages, ceremonies, vision quests as a way to receive these answers. It can be very powerful. I would say my energy, a lot of the energy I do, and the reason that I have so much energy is I have personal vision that I received from questing and asking the questions and putting myself through rites of passages. And for me, it's just so much easier to motivate myself when I wake up in the morning because I have beautiful visions that I really desire to achieve. And it makes my life so much easier. Yeah.
Wow, this is such an energetic transmission right now. I just got like wave after
Yes.
wave of
I feel that.
like embodying everything you're saying with the quest and the question. Like I've never thought about that. And that gives that word a whole new meaning. Like when my
Hmm.
daughter asks me a question, like flipping it back her and like, what's the quest to find your answer?
So good.
Whoa. Wow.
And
So
it's a
thank you for sharing.
technology, it's a technology passed all along by our ancestors, and this is a future technology, a timeless technology. And so I'm really diving in, in the quantum physics world, there's no such thing as time and space. It's timeless. So these are our quantum questions. And then the whole idea of a question is we don't have to answer it. The question is way more important than the answer. If we let go of that answer, of what is exactly the answer to that question, when we let go of that need, then that allows the universe to speak to us. When we're on our way between worlds, we might notice a sign, an omen, only if we are taking that moment to look. And so it's a beautiful technology.
So incredible too, because you're being guided by something so much greater than what the mind could conceive, because the vision isn't coming from the mind, and in my mind is like, how many people would be able to come out of suffering if they were able to move on from the things they need to move on from with rites of passage, and were able to, instead of ask their mind what they should be doing and what their purpose is and where they need to go, and instead allowed a vision to come, how different the world would be, because we all get so stuck in our different parts and pieces, and it feels like so much of that, one thing that Alyssa and I have learned a lot about is just the cycle of emotions that take place, and how energy can get stuck in the body when we don't allow these emotions to take their course. And it feels like rites of passage are kind of like that bigger picture of it, where when we don't allow a cycle to end, like childhood moving into adolescence, or adolescence moving into adulthood, or the ending of a marriage or the beginning of life, when we don't honor those transitions, parts of us get stuck in that old place and reality. So how beautiful is it that we get to usher in these new chapters of life through the rites of passage, and they get to be influenced by something so much greater than our mind through vision. Oh, so good. So good. I had a ping that came through. If someone is interested in, okay, 2 questions, because I loved the mention of your learnings with, what did you say? Constitutional, you mentioned it with Chinese. Yeah. And so I'm curious, for those who maybe want to explore their constitution, maybe someone who feels completely disconnected from the elements, and they're wanting to connect with what is most natural to them. Like for me, the earth element and the water element, I feel a much more natural connection to, versus fire that I've suppressed in my life for a very long time. And I've only recently started to try to cultivate that fire in me. So I'm curious, for those who have maybe been cut off from that and they want to start exploring connecting with elements, or exploring connecting with a rite of passage, maybe what is a good starting point for people to explore, or just start opening their awareness to that a little more? That's kind of
I'd say a starting point is to sit in nature. You know, what Nathan's taught me from what he learned at tracker school is the best thing we can do is a sit spot every day in the same spot for 20 minutes and just notice, just be aware and notice. And you're going to have all the elements right there, and the nature and the language of the universe is right there. So, if you have some sense in you of like, oh, I'm really curious about Earth more, like, what is that? You start to study Earth's hard, right? And Earth is more solid. Water comes through and flows and breaks things down, but it can get collected and get stagnant. So like studying nature would be like how our ancestors really developed all these modalities. I could send people to many different modalities to learn it. Elemental Chinese medicine is really great. I like their approach. Polarity therapy by Dr. Randolph Stone is somebody that I trained with a lot at massage school, not him, but his work. And that polarity therapy is like my frame of mind because it's the elements in the body. And so I really read the body elementally, and there's certain element like places where they are, there's certain like body types, like so you learn like an earth body type is going to be very more square and solid, right? And so study the body, study nature, and that's where to begin, and then let the question lead the way into kind of what modalities you might be drawn to, I would say. And plants too, study I'm an herbalist, so everything, like if we have a plant really high up in the air, like the tall parts, that's going to be more the air kind of nature, versus like what's in the ground, the roots. Those are like the earth parts, right? So like you can just see it and start to understand the language and everything in nature.
Sensory input and focus of the mind is what builds brain patterns. And so they say like when they hook kids up to the brain things or whatever to learn how they're learning, kids learn the most from playing with water, sand, and mud outside. Lots of sensory input. Their focus is in their play. And so, yeah, I think that we're also serious and giving ourselves the permission to play and to have that beginner's mind. We think we know so much, but really we don't know very much. The more I know, the less I realize I truly know about this universe, and I'm constantly humbled. So how can we freshen our perspective and learn something new from the water we've been playing in our whole lives? What does it have to teach us today? And that question can lead us through an entire universe we didn't even know existed if we allow it to.
I feel like we could chat all day.
I know.
Yeah, this episode has been so juicy.
Love that word.
Is there anything else you'd like to share as we close here?
I don't think.
You want to talk about hummingbirdheart.com and
Yeah, well, yeah.
Tell us where everyone can find you.
Yeah, you can find us because we're
Lots of ways.
such multiverse people. You can find us in 3 websites and lots of handles. But sacredlivingcenter.com is the hub for our transformational massage, biofield tuning, wellness sessions, Akashic readings, and the steam circles. And the Hummingbird Hearth is our .com is our ceremonial hub and retreats.
and Garden Hub.
Well, no, that's not our garden.
In the Garden Hub, I thought it was a Garden
Garden hub is Galactic Cactus.
I thought the Hummingbird Hearth was where we could do private memberships so you could join the garden.
So Hummingbird Hearth, you can find a lot there. Just you end up there if you're interested in plant work, in our ceremonial work, in our rites of passage work. That's we're doing this group to Baja. We still have a few seats open it's February 15th through the 21st. Going to be amazing, amazing. Like we said, Vision Quest, rites of passage.
Hot Springs.
Yeah, Hot Springs.
Ooh.
Then we have on Instagram, Captivation, and then you can find the Sacred Living Center on Facebook.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's it. We're both working on TikTok. We're not the best social media consistent people, but we're working on it.
I have yet to get on TikTok.
I
Right.
post like a video maybe once every couple weeks, and when the farms open, it's like lots of farm stuff happening. Farm opens in April through October, and it's just beautiful. If you can get down there, Renee, sometime it's
Yes,
just
definitely. I think it is super special that you all cultivate from seed. Because
Lead the ceremony.
yes, I know that a lot of medicine carriers maybe don't have that option and will order it online. And I think that cultivating it from seed and knowing the time that it takes and the prayer that goes into the life of that whole cactus before its consumption is next level special. So
yeah, it's amazing. He's amazing, green thumb, and
And we have opportunity, I teach people how to garden, and then we have a volunteer day on Tuesdays if people want to come learn.
ooh, okay.
Sit with the plants and learn how to cultivate them. But mostly I like people to hang out at the garden
yeah.
to be in, yeah.
And this year we're moving to a private membership model in our businesses. And so on Hummingbird Hearth, there'll be an opportunity for $11 a month, be part of our private membership. And that gives access to teachings that we'll do regularly online and in person, and discounts on plants. And it's just, it's a way to kind of get this inside information that's scattered all over the internet and not always correct. So Nathan's been doing this a long time, working with San Pedro 17 years. So it's going to be a great resource.
And a way people can directly fertilize the garden and support the plant magic and the plants themselves. My goal is the plants have ownership in their own garden, and we can respect them in that way as well. So yeah.
Ooh,
I
we're gonna
love
have tons more conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We love sharing, and we love talking, and it's been really fun to get to know you, Renee, and to sit in ceremony. And I feel like, yeah, it's such a beautiful way to get to. People often ask me, why ceremony? Why do we want to do ceremony? And for me, ceremony is sharing currency, sharing money, sharing currency together. And there's just nothing like being able to sit with each other with a common purpose and a common vision and explore each other and the universe within and without us. So grateful for these technologies.
Yeah.
And
And
it's so beautiful how in a safe space, when you can allow all the walls to come down as a group, how much deeper everyone can go together. It's like you come out of that feeling like you have now known them for years when it's only been hours. It's pretty incredible.
We've known each other for lifetimes.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. The time and space disappears.
Thank you so much for watching us today. This has been a beautiful conversation. We don't want it to end, but we'll see you again next week. Thank you so much, Shannon. Thank you, Nathan. And we hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you.